Hello and welcome to Meta Evidence Articles, where we encourage community research and education with weekly articles. I'm your host, Benton Loibal, and this week we're talking about the first randomized clinical trial. When life gives you limes, solve scurvy. Limey is an offensive term used to refer to British people, but how did such a term come about? And should it be a term of pride instead? The earliest recorded use of limey is from an 1888 Australian poetry compilation and was used to describe non-professional British sailors and other British people who had just arrived in the land down under. This term seems to have derived from an earlier term, lime juicers, which meant roughly the same thing. Lime-based nicknames weren't chosen randomly, but instead accurately described the habits of British sailors and passengers who were issued lemon or lime juice on long voyages, such as those to Australia and New Zealand. Along with livening the flavor of British food and pairing very well with shrimp, lime juice had another property: protection against scurvy. Scurvy is a nutritional disorder caused by a lack of ascorbic acid, also known as vitamin C. Most animals make the vitamin C they need, but rodents, bats, monkeys, and apes, including humans, do not. Instead, we get all of our vitamin C from the foods we eat, such as leafy greens, broccoli, and citrus fruits like lemons and limes. Under normal circumstances, we store 1 to 3 months worth of vitamin C in the body. During extended periods without fresh fruits and vegetables, people use up their vitamin C reserves and may develop scurvy. Scurvy can manifest with various systemic effects, including weakness, pain, and fatigue. Additionally, it may cause or worsen skin issues, mouth and gum deterioration, bone problems, impaired wound healing, blood and heart complications, and can cause death. People in Northern Europe, including Scotland, could experience symptoms of scurvy in the winter months, but the problem was most pronounced during the age of sail. Ships traveling for months or years at sea didn't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables, and the results were catastrophic. Some sources claim that people expected 50% of those on long voyages to die of scurvy. In medicine, there are things we know, things we don't know, and how we find out what we don't know. Back in the 1600s and 1700s, physicians were aware of the symptoms and complications of scurvy, but they did not know how to prevent it. There were efforts to fight scurvy, but people at the time lacked both a solution and a method to find a solution. There were many ideas for preventing scurvy, and some hit the nail on the head, but clinical trials did not exist, and no one was comparing potential cures in a structured way or, importantly, sharing their results. Physician James Lind changed this in 1747 with the first randomized clinical trial. He compared 6 possible treatments among 12 randomly assigned patients with scurvy and found that the most sudden and visible good effects were perceived from the use of oranges and lemons. Critically, James Lind wasn't trying to heal only the 12 people in his care, but was trying to solve scurvy for the whole of the British Navy. His results were published in 1753 and slowly made their way through the British Admiralty until fresh fruits and vegetables, especially citrus, were the norm. James Lind had designed the method for how we learn what we don't know and spread it to the world. The impact of the first clinical trial can be seen clearly in the death tolls of 2 British voyages around the world. In 1740, just a few years before James Lind's trial, George Anson took off from England and sailed west with around 2,000 people. When he got home 4 years later, 90% had died, most of them from scurvy. Compare this with James Cook's second circumnavigation. Captain Cook sailed in 1772, a couple of decades after James Lind's results were published, and Captain Cook mandated fresh fruits and vegetables for his crew. As a result, no sailors died from scurvy over the 3-year adventure. Large, real-world demonstrations like this are comparable to a large Phase 3 clinical trial and convinced Britain to issue lemons and limes to all sailors for long voyages. Today, the term limey might be seen as offensive, but it should really be a celebration of James Lind and the first clinical trial. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Meta Evidence Articles. If you'd like to know more, all of our descriptions are linked in the podcast description below. You can also visit our website at medevidence.com. MedEvidence helps answer the question of who can you trust for medical information. The MedEvidence platform provides valuable information about many medical issues and the insights of evidence-based medicine. MedEvidence educates audiences through engaging and entertaining magazines, podcasts, videos, articles, and presentations. We strive to bring together diverse voices of top-level medical professionals, researchers, and experts to provide unique and engaging content that uncovers the truth behind the data. For more great content, including discussions by physicians and subject matter experts, check out the MedEvidence podcast. My name is Benton, and we'll see you next week.